Good morning, 6:26 on this looks like it's going to be a rainy day as we head towards the mountains. Okay, back in town after my second 3,500 plus mile road trip in 2 months. And I'm very happy to report that the issue that I spoke about in my last video did not return once I took care of the transfer case fluid.
What are you doing by transfer case fluid? I just did about a 4,000 mile road trip. Fluid was burned up. I changed it, but I wanted to flush it and change it one more time before I leave on my next trip coming up in a few weeks. I removed the skid from underneath the transfer case and I flushed it. And what I found worked great was these HDX hand pumps pulled off the end. I was able to easily maneuver everything in position. So it takes around 2 quarts, a little over 2 quarts. When I originally checked it, I got less than 3/4 of a quart of fluid came out of this transfer case with the stock fill. That means this thing was a quart short from the factory fill. A quart.
I actually drained the burned up fluid, put new fluid in there, drove it for a couple hundred miles, replaced that fluid, drove it again for a few days, and then replaced it one more time. And then I drove on my long distance trip. Everything went well, no issues with the vehicle. That's what the gauges are doing while I'm running through these crazy S-curves. It's pretty much after been driving basically 12 hours straight. No issues with the vehicle. 392 is a fantastic traveling partner on the open road. And honestly, it's getting better gas mileage than my old JK did. My lifted JK on 35s. Very happy with the vehicle, the way everything's performed so far. I've got 37,344 miles right now. Did the tail of the Dragon, a couple other areas around there, hit some trails on the way to my destination for work. Vehicle handled surprisingly well on the Dragon. It was like a bear running through tight forest trails. If you're on the Dragon and you're on some of those other curvy, windy roads, pull over for motorcycles. Pull over for the sports cars that are going faster than you. All right, beautiful area. After 37,000 plus miles in a little over a year and 4 months, and I have to say the vehicle has performed well. Really enjoyed it, enjoying my time with the vehicle. It's a great everyday driver and it's a great weekend roamer. Let's talk about likes and dislikes. And we'll start with the dislikes first. Some of these items may have been addressed by the 2024s. But first off is the non-XR showing up on 33-inch tires is a joke. These vehicles do not look good on 33-inch tires. 35 should have been the minimum. For this price point in 2022, 35s should have been a minimum. The seats are definitely better. These Rubicon 392 seats are better than the standard seats, and they're better than the old seats, but they're still not up for what they should be for this kind of money. Third is the fact that there's no undercarriage protection other than the front skid and the one above the transfer case. The bottom of this vehicle should have been fully protected from the factory for this price point. The gap between the fenders and the body, that should have been addressed. That's something that could easily be fixed at the factory. And for this price point of vehicle, for any JL, but for this price point especially. Another issue that I found, and it's really, I can't consider it a bad thing, it's just something that needs to be addressed by myself, is that the new LED lights, they work fantastic, but I noticed at night on dark trails and dark roads, if you have to take a 90-degree left or right turn between the reflections on the glass inside the Jeep and the darkness outside and the cutoff of the LED lights where the beam actually cuts off, you can't see. You really need a set of spots or something lighting up that side and those sections, because it's really difficult to see a hard left or right angle at night. Things I like about my Wrangler 392. The engine, obviously the engine is fantastic. The sport exhaust, being able to flip that switch and turn the exhaust on and off is a great function. When you want to be clandestine and go undercover, it's nice to be able to turn that exhaust off. And when you want to be heard, or when you want to hear it, which is a phenomenal sounding exhaust sound, you can hear it. The Off-Road Plus button is a fantastic addition. It gives you that sport car feel to a big bear of a Jeep. It definitely tightens up the shifts, gives you different shifting points depending on how fast you're going and what it sees you're doing, what the computers read you doing, and it adjusts accordingly. Reset, 1, 2, 3. To me, Off-Road Plus is a sport button. Probably 95% of the time when I am on the street, just around, not going any hours of distance driving on the highway, I will be in Off-Road Plus. I did notice though that up in the Carolinas and in the mountains, I definitely did not go into 4-cylinder as much as I do on the flat roads of Florida. Significantly less time was spent in 4-cylinder in normal drive mode. The fun starts in Off-Road Plus. Long cruise on a highway, yeah, I'll be in normal, regular drive mode. But around town and such, in short spurts, Off-Road Plus is where the action is where the fun is. I really enjoy the Off-Road Plus function. I like the setup of the interior. It's clean, it's uncluttered. I like having analog gauges with the digital gauge in the middle, which gives me the functions that I can change and check, and I can customize it to suit my needs and what I want to see. Back in the world. You know, in this crappy weather, these crappy kind of days like this, we don't get them too often in Florida. You're going to have either no rain or it's going to be rainy season and you'll be getting lightning and thunder, but occasionally we get to be days like this. And it is nice to have the all-time four-wheel drive for the crappy days like this, you know, when it's nasty out and obnoxious kind of rain. I don't mind it, you know, having those extra nannies. And that's coming from a person who drives cars with no nannies. I don't find it the big deal. I definitely welcome anti-lock brakes, traction control. Those type of things can really save you from the worst. A Wrangler 392 really is a great everyday driver. It's a Wrangler, so it gives me the ability to go off-road or anything when I'm, like a day like today where I got a couple hours and I'm passing by a park. If it was a nice day, I could pop the top and enjoy the 900-degree heat. It's great to have a convertible in Florida. I'm noticing that this is a 22 non-XR on 35s, and this thing is constantly going into 4-cylinder, even in normal drive mode. And typically in Off-Road Plus, it goes in to 4-cylinder a lot on this one, more often. But I'm amazed at how often it spends time in 4-cylinder if I'm not hammering it. Yeah. Turning on to 129, which is actually the tail of the dragon, Route 129. 272 miles from here. I think I'm going to stop at the souvenir store, do the tail of the dragon, and then head about my business. So that's the destination, 247 miles. Puts me at the tail of the dragon around 2:30, 3 o'clock. I know there's monsoon rains coming. Do I stop and pull the top off for a while I can enjoy it? So that's after what, 13 plus hours driving. Well, current temperature is 75 out. Well, I guess you can see that. Obey all speed limits. We're on Route 129 and we're headed towards the tail of the dragon. 220 something miles from here. Air Force Base, cool, look at that. Nice. (2022) 392 non-XR on 35s. I think I'm hitting about 35 or 36,000 here. Blue Ridge in it. After a little trip to the tail of the dragon. Timing good, that's for sure. Now you're talking. One's for you, Marcus.